Hey, guess what time it is? It is that dreaded drive cycle readiness for the smog test time. Oh, and yeah, got to do the drive cycle. This is my volunteer to do it since I don't drive on the freeway. Yeah, go ahead and start it and just let it idle for a few minutes. You just got to let it idle. And then you're going to take it on the freeway, get it up to 70 miles an hour. And then after that, you got to take your foot off after 7 minutes of doing the 70 miles an hour, 7 miles, whichever. And then you're going to let it coast down to...
mirrors here.
Yeah. You're going to let it coast down to 20 miles per hour. And then you're going to do it again. Go up, go down, driving back city at that point. And... when you come back, just let the car keep running. Do not stop it. Let it idle again for 3 minutes. Okay, these are the mirrors, but first you got to shut the door here. Go ahead. Unroll the window. Okay, he's going on that one. Right. Just the mirrors. And like I said, don't touch that because that's the lights outside of that.
I remember that mirror drove me crazy.
Okay, here's the sunglasses. I think it's idled long enough. Are you ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I appreciate you doing this. Just be extra safe, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I do the drive cycle. And of course, you know, I had to go to my insurance company and let them know that this is happening because you can't just let anybody drive your car during the drive cycle. It's always nerve-wracking letting me see somebody else drive my car. It really is, but the drive cycle has to be done. And then of course I'll have to do the same thing to this one when it's ready to be registered. Yes, the dreaded, required drive cycle before the required smog test, before the required registration. It used to be the smog test was actually just about emissions. You know, they put that thing on your tailpipe and they did the dynometer, spun your wheels, did the drive test for you. Spun it, made it fast, made it slow. And then you learned whether or not you failed or passed. Well, apparently too many people were passing because they decided to switch it over to just reading sensors, all your sensors, to make sure they're ready. And so no more actually an emissions test, more of now your sensors have to be ready, and God forbid you give your car a tune-up before your smog test. God forbid you clean the terminals on the battery. God forbid you get a new battery, you know. Or if you even just reset anything on your car, it's a racket. It really is, because that $59 smog test is now costing you roughly about $230 when you factor in the fact that you got to notify your insurance company that somebody else is going to do that drive cycle for you, because it's a dangerous drive cycle for the average individual to handle, especially people like me who don't go on the freeway. And much less, you know, I quit going on the freeway a couple of years back when I saw the people running from the cops, you know, people entering the freeway from the wrong direction, tires coming off of people's cars. Just, I can't drive 100 miles an hour. I'm old school. I'm still stuck in that 55 mile an hour driving in the slow lane. And even though I stay in the slow lane, people still flipping me off, so yeah, no, I don't go on the freeway anymore. I just stay in the city. So, okay, the average senior citizen, they don't drive on the freeway anymore either. So this drive cycle, required drive cycle that must be done in order to make your car ready for the smog test or pass the smog test. You know, there's a it's weeding out the weak, technically, because you have to hire somebody or convince somebody to do the test for you. And then, of course, there's the cost of gas, right? Gas at $6 a gallon, $7 a gallon, whichever it is at this point. And you got to keep the gas tank between 3/4 of a tank and a quarter tank. And you got to do this a couple of times. And currently, my OBD2 is working, that sensor, but the evap and the CAT is registering not there. And I read the codes. I took the codes actually over to the guy who works on that car, just does the tune-up. And he's like, there's nothing wrong with your car. It's just, it needs to be driven. You need to do the drive cycle test. Yeah, that's a side hustle. I think people need to start advertising that they are drive cycle drivers. And, you know, because you got to pay the person basically $50 to do it, on top of pay for the gas, on top of pay for your car insurance to cover them while they're doing it. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with the car, right? It's just another way to get more money out of you and a way to weed out the people who don't drive on the freeway to spend more money. But God forbid, you give your car any love within a year of that smog test. And me, like I said, I just keep that car in the driveway. I just use it for when I'm in the mood to wear a dress, go someplace special. The Nissan Sentra, that's like my work truck. But it, too, had to do the drive cycle because I got a new battery. The drive cycle. It wasn't an issue up until, I guess, 3 years ago when they started changing over the way they do the smog test. And there's definitely supply and demand for drive cycle drivers. So if you're somebody that's looking for a side hustle, you might start advertising yourself as a drive cycle driver, because it does entail some gnarly driving. I mean, I said the average 60, 70, 80-year-old family member, whatever, they're not wanting to do 100 miles an hour and then coast down to 20 without touching the brake. I mean, or if nothing else, they need to come out with magnets to put on your car that says, drive cycle test in progress. Like they do with the student drivers, right? So now I got to wait and see if he manages to get it to kick on those sensors. I do have my thing to test, but it could take up to 200 to 300 miles before it actually kicks in the sensors that you have to put on your car, which to me kind of defeats the whole purpose of an emissions test because you're driving so much. And then, of course, your car insurance goes up a little more because if you're paying insurance based on the amount of miles you drive, and then now you're going over it by another 200-300, now your insurance is a little more. So that's something else to keep in mind too. Yeah, the dreaded drive cycle test before the smog test, before the registration. So registration has definitely gone up in price by having to do that. Okay, so you came back, you went up, you went down, and now the car is running for 3 minutes before I turn it off, and then I'll test it. Yeah, the dreaded required drive cycle test. Of course, the true test will be after I turn it off. I gotta wait a minute and see if this one worked. If not, I gotta do it again tomorrow. All right, let's see if it worked. Okay, it's communicating. I am readiness, please wait. Nope, didn't work. The evap has still got the big X, and so does the CAT. Gonna have to do it again. Okay, round 2 of putting 40 or 50 miles on the car to try to do that dreaded required drive cycle in order to somehow maybe pass that smog test. Gosh. Okay, gotta let it idle for 3 minutes before you can put it in drive. Round 2. Hopefully this one will do the trick. It does. It makes me nervous seeing somebody else drive my car, though. Just waiting on the car to come back. You know, it occurred to me, this is almost like when you go to the supermarket and you got to do the self-checkout and no one's paying you to do all that work. You know, because with this situation, yeah, you're doing all the work to make sure it passes smog. And then when you take it to the smog place, all the guy has to do is give you a piece of paper saying, okay, you passed. And he's using the same tool. Okay, it's back. Question is, did all the sensors kick in? All right, almost. Added another 50 miles. The cat kicked in, but the evap is still the giant X. So tomorrow I'll do that test where you just let the car run for 20 minutes and just idle and see if that helps. But at least the cat kicked in. Okay, I just did the 4-minute idle, 5-minute drive, 4-minute idle. And I'm gonna see now if the evap kicks in. Hope so. Well, nope, the evap didn't kick in, but it says I can smog it if I want to, so I'm going to do it a couple more times because I really kind of want it to be all green. Yeah, the hardest part of doing this test is having to get down on your knees to plug everything in. Okay, it's smog test time. Hopefully it'll pass. He said that even though the evap doesn't kick in, I should be okay, so hopefully he's right. This is definitely the most nerve-wracking test you'll ever have to take because it's not about you. Okay, waiting to hear. Pass, pass, yay! Take my money, take it now. Okay, so it's true. Even if the evap sensor does not kick in, your car will still pass emissions, at least in California. The test, you can have one sensor that is not working. So, I pass, yay. Okay, good for another year. Oh, and for the record, actually my evap did kick in. What? On my way there, apparently, unbeknownst to me. But, you know, the guy doing the smog let me know, even if the evap hadn't kicked in, it still would have been passed. So, if you're in California and you're stressing because your evap sensor isn't showing, but all the other ones are showing, go take your smog test. You'll pass, apparently, at least in California. And with that, yeah, I'm now registered for another year. My smog certificate is good for 90 days. So if anybody's interested in buying a car, I have one, I think, maybe for sale. I don't know. I love my car. I do. But I don't know. I think that if you're going to sell the car, yeah, you want to do it within the 90 days while the smog certificate is still good. So if you're interested in buying a Mercedes, get in touch with me via my email. Thanks for watching. Now go do that drive cycle if you have to. Bye for now.